Well, welcome once again to another edition of Then Sings My Soul. My name is David Jordan,
And I'm Damaris Jordan.
and we have got an oldie but goodie, as a lot of these songs that we do, and it's entitled "The Lily of the Valley." I'm sure you've all heard that song, and it's got a unusual history. And as I was reading, I was thinking, it seems like a lot of these songs came out of England.
Yes, they did.
A lot of these older songs came out of England, which was your mom's home country.
That's right.
And if y'all went back over there, and when you were what,
13.
13 years old, went back to England, and your mom was planning on staying.
Yes. I would not be here today had she
That's
decided
right.
to do that.
That's right. And we wouldn't be here today.
We wouldn't be here today together. That's right.
But it's an interesting history, and I'll read a little bit of this. As Christianity flourished during England's Victorian era, great concern emerged for the orphans, the poor, the homeless, and the great masses battered by the rising Industrial Revolution. One man determined to make a difference. Now, this is interesting because it's going to get to the end of the story and you'll find out who wrote the song. William Booth, born in Nottingham, of which we went to Nottingham.
We have been to
when we were there.
Nottingham.
I didn't see Robin Hood, though.
No.
So, but born in Nottingham in 1829, became a Christian as a teenager and instantly began winning others to Christ. He moved to London to open a pawnbroker's shop, but soon left his business to travel around as a Methodist evangelist. By 1865, his ministry was primarily focused among the poor of London's East End, and that must have been a rough part of town there. Some evenings he stumbled home, haggard with fatigue, his clothes torn, and bloody bandages swathing his head where a stone had struck him.
Can you imagine going out to try to help the helpless and make a difference, and then to be treated in such a way? But I recall a story about a man named Jesus
Yep,
who was treated the same way.
exactly. Paul, stoned, so many things.
Yes.
Trying to do good. In 1878, Booth began calling his ministry the Salvation Army.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting? And something about that name captured people's imagination. Men, women, and children saw their conversion as leaving their old lives behind to enlist in a new army, the Lord's Army.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
I love that.
The movement spread throughout England and around the world. That very year, 1878, a group of Salvation Army workers sought to establish a ministry in Salisbury, about 90 miles west of London. They were treated badly. Bricks and eggs flying in their direction whenever they tried to preach on the streets.
Goodness.
There lived in Salisbury a local builder and amateur musician named Charles Fry. Now here's where the writer came in. An active layman in the Methodist Church. Seeing the abuse hurled at the Salvation Army workers, Charles offered, along with his 3 strapping sons, musicians all, to serve as bodyguards.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Three big men. The next day, the 4 Frys showed up bearing their weapons: 2 cornets, is that what you call it?
Carnet.
Cornets, a trombone, and a small tuba.
Wow.
That was
They were putting themselves in harm's way.
right. That was their weapons, instruments.
But to render, yes, something so beautiful.
Between fighting off hooligans, the 4 drew crowds for the preachers with their music. Thus was born the first of the now famous Salvation Army brass bands. In 1881, that's 3 years later, Charles Fry wrote The Lily of the Valley. It was published that year in the December 29th issue of the Salvation Army magazine called War Cry. The next August, Charles passed away. So 8 months? Wrote a song, and 8 months later passed away. Another verse he had written was inscribed on his grave: "The former things are past, and ended is the strife. I'm safe at last. I live an endless life."
My goodness. But it was actually the Salvation Army periodical that boosted
Yeah, the
popular-
magazine, yeah.
that put that song out there.
That's right.
It's amazing. You know, Mama being from England, it was very common in her time growing up that if you had an extra room in your home, you would open it up to let out, as they called it. And there were Salvation Army officers that would sometimes stay in my mother's home. She would talk about them at different times, and then they would be maybe in other places along the street within the village where Mama lived. So
that's interesting.
they were very popular. And then during the war, Mama said that, and as Daddy agreed, the Salvation Army worked so hard to be there for the British people, you know, during World War II, and Mama was serviced on certain occasions by certain representatives of the Salvation Army.
Yeah, that's interesting how God uses the meek and the humble to accomplish His will.
Yeah.
Now the song, let's see if we can get this in the right key.
Okay. I have found a friend in Jesus, He's everything to me. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. The lily of the valley, in Him alone I see all I need to cleanse and make me fully whole.
In sorrow He's my comfort, in trouble He's my stay. He tells me every care on Him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. Well, I was singing bass on that song.
I know I got it low, didn't I? Not used to doing the lead.
It was good, though. What a good song. What a fun, uplifting song,
It
too.
is.
And the last verse says, He will never, never leave me, nor yet forsake me here.
Amen.
While I live by faith and do His blessed will, a wall of fire about me. I've nothing now to fear. From His manna He my hungry soul shall fill.
Yeah.
Then sweeping up to glory, I'll see His blessed face, where rivers of delight shall ever roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul.
Amen. He is.
Well, we hope you have enjoyed this song and the
Yes.
history behind it. How God, just amazes us how God works in people's lives to accomplish His will. And sometimes a lot of these writers, they like this writer, he passed away and never knew the popularity of the song.
And the power.
And
And
he
the
didn't-
power that it had.
He didn't need to, because it was God.
Yeah.
God uses stuff like this. So, and that goes the same for us. We don't need to know what God's doing. We just need to be obedient. So, we hope you have enjoyed this program again. Then Sings My Soul. Thank you for listening.